Hello and welcome back. We are calling this our test kitchen. So we're still kind of playing with the name, but I think it's fun. So really it's a low carb test kitchen. Today I am going to be cooking up for you one of my favorite go-tos as far as like a weeknight meal. This one is shrimp Alfredo with Zoodles, and I'm going to throw in a different type of noodle as well. These handy dandy Konjac, I think. You'll be surprised. Now, of course, you can't taste what I'm cooking, but you'll be surprised how good these are, and the texture, we all love it. So I'm going to do both kinds of zoodle or both kind of noodles so you can decide for yourself. All right, so we'll get back to that in a moment. Whenever you're making zoodles, try to get zucchini that are kind of straight. Sometimes there's a crook neck. Those are a lot harder to get on your actual spiralizer, which I'm going to demonstrate for you in a moment. So I've already washed these. I'm going to cut off just barely the tip here because we're going to have about quarter to a half an inch that won't get spiralized on both ends. So I've just learned over time, get them kind of as straight as possible. And I can already feel the water seeping out of these. There's a lot of water content with zucchini, which is great because that's a good way to get some hydration and all that good stuff. But I always want to do my spiralizing ahead of time so that it has time for that water to seep out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll start with one. Get this here. Depending on the spiralizer you have, I'm just going to turn it around. You might see all these different types of grates. Some of them allow for the whole circumference, or I guess radius, and then some are going to make it much smaller, like an angel hair. There's a whole variety of spiralizers. I don't really have a favorite. If you already have one, just go for whichever one you have. I'm choosing the linguine, that one today, linguine. So it looks like this. It's got little triangles. All right, so I'm going to put that on here. Now let's see how I'm going to set myself up here. Okay, so one thing that I'm always prepared for is, like I say, that water. So we're going to go like so. I think I'm going to, yeah, here we go. Okie dokie. So you'll see there's little stabbies on this side. I'm going to try to get it as centered as possible. And then again, that straight really helps because otherwise you're going to have kind of wonky noodle lengths and noodle sizes. So here we go. I usually do like 3, 4, 5. It's nothing real scientific or anything that is formal. But see, then we get these little cubes, and that's a good size, like a fettuccine Alfredo, decent enough. Okay, so we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come through. I've learned to chop them off every so often. That's why the 5 rounds. That way we don't end up with this really super long zoodle. All right. Okay, so part of the idea of going low carb is to decrease the glucose spikes. So every time we eat, if we have anything other than pretty much fats, we're going to have a bit of a surge of glucose. And glucose in and of itself is not bad for us. It's very natural. It's just we live in a time where we are eating such a massive amount of it all day long because we're following conventional wisdom. Stick with me to learn unconventional wisdom. But we're doing that based on what the recommendations are from the powers that be, let's just call them. Side note, this little dangly thing, I just chopped that up because I don't want to waste any of this good stuff. The rest of it goes in our pile to go into our compost. Let's do a little quartering here. I really don't like to waste food when I can avoid it. Plus, I feel like all of this is very, very nutritious for us. And good fiber. All right. There we go. So this group, it's plenty. So because we're doing the 2 different types of noodles, I'm going to just do one of the zucchini, but if you choose to just do zoodles, you want to do 2 medium-sized zucchini so you have enough. We'll use that for another recipe. All right, so I'm going to just gently kind of pat that out. Let's make sure we've got everybody. Move you over here. Okay. I'm not going to smash it down. I'm just wanting to get some of the moisture out. Okay. And as somebody who was informally teaching me how to cook, they always said you want to season at every stage. So I'm going to put a little salt on here. And a little bit more than that. Alrighty. Love a good Himalayan sea salt. That's a pink salt that we're using. You can use whatever you want. I don't recommend iodized because it's just so bastardized. I don't think it's really good healthy salt. Plenty of other ones to choose from. All right, so we're gonna let that go do its thing and sop up all that goodness. All right. So just every so often I'm gonna come over here and pat that dry a little bit more and move her around. And you'll see how we get the rest of that moisture out towards the end. Okie-dokie. So now we are going to work on the shrimp, and I'll meet you over at the stove. Okay, let's heat these up. I'm gonna start by cooking my shrimp. This pan is going to be for the Alfredo sauce and this one for the shrimp. We have a couple pounds of shrimp, so I'm just gonna cook the whole daggum thing. That way I get my proteins cooked at one point in time and we can have them for salads, we can have them for a snack, all sorts of other goodies. All right, so just running through and taking all the tails off. The way I do that is just pinch it a little bit right at the base of the tail, and they come off quite easily. And we'll just discard those. Highly recommend you wrap them in a couple layers of plastic because they stink. The next morning you open your trash and you're like, oh yeah, we hit shrimp. No fun. Okay, just a few more. And we'll go like this. Now in this recipe, you can sub out shrimp if you just don't like shrimp or if you have an issue with shellfish. Choose really anything. You can do Alfredo with just about any, well, I would say pretty much any protein. You know, usually chicken, sometimes beef, but usually on that lighter side. But hey, you know, you eat what you enjoy. And if you stick around or if you've heard before, I really like people to cycle in different types of proteins. You know, every given couple weeks, grab a couple different sources. Use according to your budget. If you can buy a good amount of something and then freeze it and then pull it back out every so often, that's a great way to go. Sometimes your grocer will have, you know, sale on big bulk items like ground beef, some fish. And if you have the ability to use like a food, one of those, what are they called? Vacuum packers. The vacuum packer, that's a great way to save things for later. Try to avoid as much plastic as I can, but sometimes it's just a great way to save some money at the grocery store. All right, we're almost done. I'm gonna go through and feel. And it's okay if one of them gets by you. You'll find it later. Oh, here we go. All right, almost done. I'm going to rinse this once more. Call me crazy, because I am. But there's some weird, I feel like every time we get processed shrimp, they've bathed it in something, and then when you rinse it, it's kind of foamy. So I try to rinse it a couple times. I don't know what that stuff is, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to figure it out. So I'll be right back. All right, so we've got our shrimp ready to get rolling. Alrighty, back to it. So we got rid of all those. Heating a cast iron. Okay, I'm gonna do it in our ceramic today. 4 tablespoons of butter and 2 minced garlic cloves. We got 4, and remember we've got our little numbers here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. It's kind of feeling like the heat's a little high, so I may turn this down just a bit. Yeah, let's turn that down. Okay, peel that up. I'm gonna test it first because again, it's feeling a little hot. And I don't want to burn it. All right, I'm gonna let that cool down. Back in a few moments. Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I'm usually try to test the butter because I definitely don't want to burn it. Just want to see a nice little bubbling of it, but no change of color. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna put this guy in there. Roll him around. Okay, then I'm gonna add in our garlic. Beautiful. I like to use fresh garlic. So what we did is we had a big bag of garlic, those little already peeled, and we just mixed it up in the food processor and then froze it in little ice cube trays. And I figure each one of them is about 6 cloves. And I am not adverse to more garlic, if that's what we all like, and we do. Okay, cooking that. Then once that melts, I'm gonna put in our shrimp. And this won't take much time at all to cook. Okay, that looks about perfect. I'm gonna do this with a little slotted spoon so I can keep as much of the liquid out as possible. So just rinsed them again. Now some will say don't let the shrimp crowd. I don't get too particular about it. But if you don't like crowded shrimp, don't let them crowd. I'm gonna season them with just good salt and pepper. I've got it on a 3 out of, looks like 6, 7, 8. So I'm just gonna heat it up to just about a 4. So I can let these cook. And you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, you wanna look for them to turn pink. And the key is we're gonna keep them in this pan for a little bit after I cook them. So you don't need to cook them all the way done. They'll keep cooking a bit. There we go. All right, let that keep going. See all that water coming out of them still. But some of that will cook off. And you can cook scallops or scallops, however you say it, and shrimp together, but they will cook a little bit differently as far as timing. So I usually try to keep my proteins separate as I'm cooking them and then combine them later. Okay, we're gonna let these go just a little bit longer. Then I'm gonna take them off the heat, and then we can always return them again when we're just about ready to cook or to assemble our meal. Okay, putting that aside, and then I will start cooking the Alfredo. Now Alfredo, she is a particular gal. So let me make sure that I've got this all written real well. Warm, medium sauteed, medium low. I'm gonna go down to about a 3, 2.5, 3, because we definitely don't want to rush these guys. Okay, while that's warming up, I'm going to rinse the Konjac noodles. These guys, because they have they're in a liquid and it's got a little, so I want to rinse those off real nicely. And then I'll be taking the shrimp out of this bowl and then warming these up a bit, just like we're gonna do with the Zoodles. Helps cook off some of that liquid. So be right back. Okay. All right, so now we're moving on to the Alfredo. You can have your Parmesan cheese pre-grated, or you can choose to grate it yourself like I like to do. Something just kind of satisfying with that. We're gonna start with our heavy whipping cream. We want about a cup. So I am going to measure, although usually I just kind of pour things in, but I'm trying to be a little more detail oriented for y'all. Here we go. So you see, we've got a nice cup there. Oh, she's gonna be a little too hot. Hands are giving me fits today. All right, we're not gonna use that. All right, so we're gonna start with about a 2 level on our stove. You just want it to be nice and low. All right, and you can hear that bubbling underneath because I just rinsed it out. Still feeling a little hot. I'm gonna just keep waiting. There we go. So it's bubbling just enough, but it's not going to burn the milk solids. Nobody wants burnt milk solids. So here we are. We're going to use a whisk for making our Alfredo. And a lot of this is just by feel and by the texture of it. If you like it a little cheesier, by all means do the cheese. So I'm going to pour this in here. Like I say, we've got about a cup. And that should be plenty-o. Don't want to waste any of that goodness. Okay, so then you just very gently move it around. See that butter? We want to get it all melted and mixed together nicely. So I'm just doing a little circular movement. I learned this from an Italian. I am not Italian, so I call this Alfredo alla Irish girl, but still mixes beautifully. So I think I've hit my magic number of a 2 on this stove. Just so y'all know. So I'm just doing circular around the edges because we want to keep it moving. If it sits, that's when the milk solids can get a little overdone. It's worth every rotation. And I don't know if you can see, but the shrimp is continuing to cook as we're over here. So I'm going to just move some of those around so we make sure they're all cooked nicely. All right. So we'll probably be cutting some of this out because it does take a while and it's going to be different for everyone. The consistency that you'll see after we come back is really the key. It's going to be a thickness, and that's how you know that it's going to coat each and every one of those zoodles or the noodles and the shrimp. All right, see you back in a bit. So as you can see, coming back in here for a moment, all these little bubbles, the bubbles are how you know it's starting to cook nicely. So we've got a tablespoon of butter in here and a cup of our heavy whipping cream. We just want to keep this going. We don't want to let it get to a boil, but we want to see all this nice steam. So now we're going to reverse it a little. And to get a proper workout, you go for left side for a little bit, and then we'll go for the right side. And I have noticed that the pan does make a difference. I like these ceramic ones, or if you have another one, don't use nonstick. Those have all sorts of yucky stuff in them. But by using the ceramic, I'm using this silicone whisk. And I like it that way. And I find that over time, just going a little faster helps get this nice bubbling going. Okay, back in a bit. Okay, so as you'll see, I'm just speeding it up, and as it gets thicker, it's a little easier to do. So we got this nice surface of bubbles. All of this effort is 100% worth it. Once you make your own Alfredo, you will not go back to jar-bought. I guarantee it. It's worth the time. Now, some people get impatient and they want to add the xanthan gum at this stage. It's kind of like speeding up the thickening, but I just don't like to do that. I like to take a little time. I'll be putting the cheese in just a moment. I want to see this get just slightly thicker. I'm going to heat up this shrimp a bit. Let's see, where are you? Go low. So I want to get a little more color on those. Then I'm going to take them out, and then I'm going to warm up the noodles and cook off some of that liquid once we get our Alfredo ready. I try not to divide my time and attention because I have burned Alfredo, and it is criminal because that is butter and cream that you just wasted. And I don't like to waste that stuff. Okay, that's looking nice. I'm going to take that off the heat for just a moment. And like I say, I'll grab our cheese to shred or grate. Okay, So I'm gonna keep that off the heat, and I'm going to add as much pepper or Parmesan as I want. But I think you can kind of go with a good dusting over the surface, depending how you bring it in here. Probably about a good quarter cup, half cup. I like to keep these rinds, this edge, for soups. I'm going to be making a zuppa toscana at some point, and the Parmesan could be great in that. Okay. All right, bring her back in. See how that's a nice thickener on the top? And we'll keep getting that incorporated. Oh, it's smelling really Parmesan-y and buttery. Perfect. So it's still a little liquidy, so I'm going to add a bit more of our Parmesan. Okay, let's get a good another dusting on here. And I'm just going by consistency. If you like yours a little bit more liquidy, by all means. I like mine kind of thick. Right on in there. Now we're talking. And Parmesan is an excellent source of lower carb dairy. Hard cheeses tend to be really good for the low carb lifestyle. Pecorino, Romano, Parmesan, all those goodies. Okay, can you tell how that's thickening up? It's getting nice. Go a little bit longer. Put some more seasoning in. A little pepper. You can add things like crushed red pepper if you like, and a little bit of salt, because the Parmesan has enough salt in it, but the butter we use is unsalted. So now I've got that nice boil. See how the little bit of boiling is going on? That's perfect. I can see how nice and thick it is now. This should be our last run through. So now, because I used a good amount of Parmesan, I do not feel like I need the xanthan gum that is on the recipe. If you just don't want to have as much cheese, just experiment. Like the first time you make this, you're going to learn. The second time, you're going to learn again, and you keep learning. That's the fun part about cooking. There we go. So we're going to put that over to the side. Let her be there for a moment. And tend again to these wonderful shrimp. I'm going to get them fully cooked, and then I'm going to take them out of here and show you the next stage. All right, they look good. And again, we're trying not to overcook them. Oops. So let's bring them in here. And I'm not going to be using all of this shrimp with our meal because we wanted to just cook all the shrimp ahead. All right, we'll keep that wonderful seasoning in here. Get rid of that guy. And now we're going to heat up the noodles so that we can cook off some of that moisture. Okay, so now we've had time for these Zoodles to really seep out all that moisture. And if you want, you can do these ahead of time. You could do them on the weekend and then put them in a nice kind of breathable container so that that doesn't just end up seeping into the zucchini. You see it would move it like that. So I'm going to place that over here on the warmth of the stove. Okay, we put that here. Get all these goodies off. And one neat thing about using these zucchini paper towel after, you don't have to just waste that. Let me turn this off. You don't have to just waste that. You can turn it on itself. And then this is something you can use to clean your counters. It's just zucchini water. You can rinse it out a little bit. No need to just waste. Okay, and here we go. So we're going to try to heat these up enough so that they dry off just a little bit, and then they have a nice tooth to them. Add a little more salt. Okay. Keep stirring our Alfredo. Oh, look at that. So you can see how nice and thick that's getting. And that's why I want to take it off the burner, because I do not want that to keep cooking. So we've got that over here. All right, so we're going to keep heating this up. See how it's starting to steam? That's the key here. We don't need to cook them, but if you like your spaghetti noodles or your linguine or your fettuccine kind of al dente, that's what we're going for here as well. This has much more nourishment than traditional pasta. Okay, let that keep going. All right, so that is our noodle type 1, the Zoodle. And now, clean all this out. And we'll put our Konjac. I think I'm saying that right. Oh, that's close enough. Okay, so this is what that looks like raw, quote unquote. It's just a kind of a thin, very opaque looking noodle. And place those in here. And this is just to get all that liquid off. Same process as we just used for the Zoodles. I want to wait till I don't hear as much of that liquidy noise. Technical term, that is. And season this as well. A little garlic powder because I like garlic. I have some extra garlic that I've already made, and it's got a nice little, like a nice little liquid there, like an oil. So I'm going to drizzle that on here too. Because these take on whatever flavor you put them with. So the neat thing about them, you can use them for Asian, you can use them for Italian, you can use them for pretty much any kind of noodle. I imagine they have even like a macaroni. Don't quote me on that, but I would think if they don't, they should totally get on that. Although we make our macaroni with cauliflower. No hate meal, I promise it's very good. I'll show you how to do that one of these days too. Okay, this is just a little still too liquidy. Again, this stage is just to season the noodles a little bit and get off some, or evaporate, I guess, some of the liquid. Because I do highly advise rinsing the Konjac noodles after taking them out of the bag. So these are a much lower carb than, say, your traditional flour type of pasta. They're not no carb, but they're lower carb. Oh, getting almost there. Okay, that one's ready. Okay, one last little swirl. Look at that beautiful Alfredo sauce. See, told you it would be worth it. You just have to be patient. Don't rush the Alfredo. She is not a rusher. So I'm going to dress put our Alfredo over both the sets of noodles. We're gonna go to the other camera. All right, look at this, y'all. I'm excited. So go through here. And then we'll add our shrimp. Look at that beauty. And I'm not putting that extra juice on the noodles because I just spent all that time getting the liquid off of them. But we have this gorgeous Alfredo sauce on here. And look at that. Now this is our main meal for the day, so we're eating a couple servings worth, but you just adjust yours according to what your needs are that day. All right, now we're gonna add our yummy, yummy Parmesan. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this Alfredo. We never waste Alfredo. Say it with me. Never waste Alfredo. I'd rather you eat more of it and get those good healthy fats and a little bit of protein than waste it. That said, when you go to reheat it, go slow, low and slow, because it'll separate. But if you treat it well and do that little bit of whisking in a nice pan just like this, it'll reheat nicely for you. Okay, I think we are ready. Let's get our cheese. Okie dokie. All right, and I'll take a bite from this and then we're gonna do pictures. Still getting our system down. But I hope you've enjoyed. And like I say, just take your time with the Alfredo. Don't be in a rush with it. Enjoy making your food and nourishing your amazing body because it takes really good care of you and it needs you to do the same. All right, let me try this. Which one should I try? I'll try both. Get this in here. God, it's so good. Okay, and let's get a little more sauce. Here we go with the Zoodles. So I'd say the Zoodles, they have a little more tooth to them than these. This is really much more like a pasta. But I love the Zoodles because I'm getting my veg in, getting all that good fiber, getting some nourishment. So I feel like it's a win-win. But either way you go, we've got both of these. They turned out amazing. Thanks for cooking with me. Be sure to opt into our free recipe share because that is the way that you will get this recipe. And I'll separate it out for the Konjac or just using Zoodles. And I want you to keep in mind that our show is growing, our channel is growing, so if you would do us a huge favor, apparently the YouTube algorithm likes when you like our videos and when you comment if you feel like it, but also please subscribe because we will be dropping one of these recipes every week. Until next time, take good care of yourself and each other. Noodles that we're using. I'll put them right above it.